Good morning, everybody. It's Christy Lee here from HQ. Just give me one moment and I will add Master Trainer Anika to our live. Let me see. How is everyone going this morning? Are we well? Let me just grab up Master Trainer Anika. She's going to join us on the live from Elleebana, USA. Excited. We cannot wait. Morning, everybody. Morning, Amy. How are you? Hi, Nika.
Good morning. Or good evening, wherever you're tuning in from.
Are you ready to do some brow lamination this morning?
So ready to do some brow lamination this morning. We're so excited to be here with you all today. So send in your questions. If you have any questions, send them in the comment box below.
Cool. Yeah, so as I said, we're joining you from Elleebana HQ here on the Gold Coast in Queensland. So we are going to be demonstrating a live brow lamination treatment, and we're going to be jumping into some questions that you have, as Anika has mentioned. Yeah, so getting to all the good stuff. So let us know where you're from. We'll give you little shout outs. Yeah, we're super excited to get going. So brow lamination, if you don't know what it is essentially the same process of a lash lift treatment. So we are reshaping the hairs. So we are applying an alkaline lotion to the hairs to break down the bonds to be able to reshape them. So it's definitely one of my favorite treatments. And I know Anika's quite the little brow ninja as well.
Treatment too.
Cool.
So much fun to perform. I love the results. Everyone's just like, wow. Instant.
Yeah, it makes such a difference, and styling as well is such it's quite variable. So you can do natural, you can tame unruly brows, you can do some correction, or if your clients have those big beautiful bold brows, you can achieve those big fluffy brows as well. So there's something for everybody. Or Florida, is that Florida? Oh yay, I'd actually like to go to America, so hopefully one day we can do. Go. So Anika is going to show you the setup for a brow lamination. So show you what she puts on her trolley to get herself ready. Oh, Alaska, hi, how are you? Hello everyone, Anchorage, Alaska, oh, lovely. Yeah, so Anika's going to jump into the setup and show you what you will need for a brow lamination. So Anika, you want to show us your trolley?
A little... All right. Let me just turn this camera around.
Okay, you can get your
first live, so I'm just figuring it all out.
That's all right. It's good fun though. San Diego, hi, Calgary.
All right.
Cool. So
I've got all my products set up. I've got my lotions here. Got my brow wrap. Got my cleanser that we're going to use to cleanse the brows, all my disposables, a couple of extras in there, my tweezers, got the 2-in-1 dish, a couple of brushes here, little micro brush here as well, the little pixters that we use for precision, brushing the hairs nice and straight. I've also got the application brush. I like to use this to apply the lotion so that we can really limit the amount of brushing that we're doing on the skin, which I'll demonstrate to you all. I've got our little angle brushes here, which are great for applying tint. And we'll discuss tint colors as well when we get to that stage, discuss what kind of tint colors are going to look great for our model this morning. So that's pretty much my setup here. I just like to have everything out ready for the treatment so that I'm not, flustered or trying to find different products. It's nice just to have it all set up and ready to go, even dispensing out some cling film there as well. So I'm all ready to go.
Oh, very organized. We love an organized trolley. That is amazing. So while Anika gets the camera set up to above the model, so we'll demonstrate a step-by-step. So we'll go through cleansing. So we'll really break it down for you so you can see how we perform a brow lamination using the Elliplex Profusion system. So we would love for you to tag us in your work as well. If you've created beautiful brows using the Elliplex Profusion system, tag us on on Instagram, Facebook. You know, we love seeing all the beautiful Ellie magic that you create, and we love sharing that as well. So join in on the Elleebana family fun. So Nika, whenever you're ready, let's get going. Let's create some brows.
Let's do it. I've just seen someone comment and say that you're going to miss it, but we will save this live so you can rewatch it on our Instagram later. So if you aren't able to tune in, don't worry, it'll be available for you.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to flip this around, pop it in my little Glenpool light. Well, first of all, let me show you the before.
Yeah.
This is our model. She's got beautiful full brows. She's got a lot of hair to work with, so the result is going to be amazing. That's the before. All right, now let's get this all set up.
Oh, lovely. Joined. Cool. So it's actually it's, you know, really early in the morning here in Australia. So HQ is in Burleigh Heads in Queensland. So if you have ever been to Australia before, you know, it's beautiful this time of year. We have had quite a lot of storms recently, which is very rainy. But yeah, HQ is thriving. We're loving it here. Yeah, so I'd love to know where more of you are from. Can you do a wax at the same time? We will cover hair removal a little bit later on, so that's a really good question. So it's really important that we do cover that one. So we do have that question asked quite a lot, but we will cover that one a little bit later on when Anika has done the lamination. Hi, Sammy. Good morning.
All right, guys, I am going to jump into our brow lamination now. And the first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to give the brows a nice little cleanse so that we're working with a really clean surface so those lotions can really penetrate the hairs well and do a really good job at lifting those brows. So for that, I'm just using the Elleebana makeup remover. It's a great gentle foaming cleanser and it helps to extract any makeup or dirt from the area that we're working with.
Super important. And Nika, there was a really good question there about what kind of density you think the model's brows are. So
yeah,
that's
she's definitely got really, really healthy hairs. I'd say they're more on like the average to thick side. So they're definitely not thin, but she's got a lot of hairs. There's a lot of density there. So processing times wise, we're probably looking at least the average, which is around that 6 and 6 minute processing time. But we can always check it throughout the treatment if we feel we need it to rest on there a little bit longer, just so we can really maneuver those hairs. But that's the great thing about brow lamination is we can actually keep checking it throughout the treatment. So that's what I love about brow lamination is there's no guesswork. You can completely see how it just transforms and shapes the hairs. All right, so I'm coming in now and I'm just going to do a nice little cleanse.
Yeah, good cleanse. So you can take before pictures as well after you cleanse. So it's really good for your socials. Get as many pictures as you can. You know, Nika's doing a really thorough cleanse here. So removing any makeup, dirt, sebum, you know, so you can see the natural brows as well. So that's a good little tip to use when taking your pictures. Good, beautiful brows.
All right, I'm going to give him a little brush as well, just so I can test the flexibility of the hairs, see how well they sort of maneuver around. Do they feel stubborn? Do they feel light and fluffy? And then that will also help you determine whether you may need a slightly longer processing time or whether they'd be suited to more of the average time. So brushing through, they do feel like they sit up quite nicely. They're definitely not super stubborn where they want to just rest down here. So that's a good sign. So I think processing time wise, I think 6 and 6 is going to work really well on her brows. But again, I am going to check it just to make sure we don't need to leave it on any longer than that.
Great.
Cool.
Lovely. Cool.
So you can basically just jump right into it by applying our lotion. So I'm going to dispense our first lotion here, lifting lotion, into our little 2-in-1 dish. And you'll find that you will use pretty much most of the sachet. So I do like to dispense all of it out into my dish.
How long does lamination last? That's a really good question. So lamination, it can come down to like the longevity of the treatment can come down to a few factors. It can last up to 90 days or longer, but you would have to consider your client's hair growth phase, so how long it grows out, because our hair is continually growing. It's on a cycle, so there's different stages of hair growth in there. So it can be case by case, really, and also aftercare as well is a factor to help with longevity of the treatment. So if your client's implementing really good aftercare, they'll see longer results. So you're applying the first lotion here to her brows?
Yes, and I am using our application brush for this step. And I'm going to coat the hairs really well, make sure I'm penetrating all the way through those layers there and get a nice coverage. The reason I don't come in straight away with the little micro brushes, or we like to call them Wonder Ones, is because I want to limit the amount of brushing that I'm doing over the brows, because that can create more sensitivities for your clients. It can even sometimes make the skin tear if we're being a little too vigorous with the way that we're brushing through. So if we can limit the amount of brushing, then overall it's just going to be better for your skin, better for your client's skin.
Yeah, that's a really...
So once I have good coverage on there, I'm going to start my timer, and for that I'm just using the stopwatch on my my iPhone here. So I'm just going to press the start button because I'm able to have 2 timers on there, so I can make sure both brows are accurate. And I'm just cleaning up around the brow now with a cotton tip just to remove any excess lotion. Again, if we overload the brow with lotion, that can cause irritation for our clients. So we do also want to minimize the amount of lotion that is on the skin in any unnecessary areas. So that's how I've coated the brow there. And I'm going to pop my cling film right over the top. I like to pull that nice and tight and come in from this way rather than behind, as we want the hairs to be nice and lifted.
Beautiful.
Just like that.
Perfect. Go. So Nika's going to continue on to the other brow. There was a question just earlier before about using the one shot for brows. We don't recommend using one shot for the brow area. You will notice that there is different active ingredients in both of the lifting lotions. So your one shot, so our OG system, it's really effective. Processing times are quick. It is a firm favorite of mine still, so I have both on hand, but we wouldn't recommend using one shot for the brows as it does contain thioglycolate, so we don't recommend that coming into contact with the skin, whereas the Elliplex Pro Fusion system, it is a dual system, so you can use that for lash lamination as well and still achieve really beautiful results, but it is more gentler as we are applying it to the skin. The cysteamine hydrochloride active that's contained in there is really super gentle. So we do recommend keeping your Elliplex Pro Fusion for your lash and brow lamination and your one shot for those beautiful lash lifts. So that was a really good question. Just tuned in. It will be saved, yes, so you can have a look back later. We love saving our lives, so it's really good to have, those extra tips and tricks and information. So that's really good to refer back to. Both systems are amazing. Yes, they are. Love the one shot. I've used it for quite a while. OG lifting system is perfect. Really, really good. Hi, Maggie. How are you? Thank you for joining us. There we go. So Nika's done both brows. She's processing those lotions on there. She's applied her wrap. She's removed the lotion from around the brow area. So processing time now. Anika, you're going to go 6 for the first one. Was that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 6, see how we go. I am going to check it just before I remove it, just to make sure those hairs are sitting exactly where I want them. But it's now 3 minutes on my timer. So that means it's about time to check the first brow. So you do want to check it at the 3-minute mark, and that just gives you a better gauge of how long do we need to leave these lotions on for, how well are they working with these lotions, are they you know, maneuvering those hairs really well? Are they becoming nice and flexible? So I'm just removing that cling film, just going to peel it back just like that. And I'm now using our little Wonder Wand. I'm going to help to stretch out and brush those hairs. So again, we just want to be nice and gentle with our brushing motions here. We don't want to be, you know, going back and forth over the skin. I find just long, slow stretches is all you need to really get those hairs up nice and straight.
Beautiful. You can
So
see
what
that.
I'm looking for, sorry.
Sorry,
what I'm looking for when I'm brushing
I'm
through.
mesmerized with the brows. Sorry, I'm obsessed with brows. So.
This can always be the most satisfying step, brushing the lotion through and straightening out those hairs. And you just want to keep brushing and brushing, but you do want to minimize the amount of brushing that you are doing for the health of the client's skin. So what I'm looking for when I brush through is, are the hairs sitting nice and straight, or do they still have a wave to them? So they are maneuvering quite well. I feel like the hairs are flexing out really nicely, but there is still some wave in those hairs. The direction that I'm brushing as well is just through this center of the brows at the head. You want to brush them up. And as you go towards the tail of the brow, we are angling it slightly over in a more diagonal direction. So we never want to brush the hairs completely right up, because that can cause strain on some of these follicles where the hair naturally grows downward towards the ears. So I'm going to pop that cling film back on now, and we're going to leave that to process for the remaining time. And it's about time to check our other brow as well. So I'm going to do exactly the same as our first brow there.
Wonderful. Beautiful. So we have had some more questions come in, Anika. So there was one that's popped up about using the lotion. So, you know, the sachet you've dispensed into your 2-in-1 tinting dish. There's a question there asking, you know, do you use all of the product? You know, are you going to use all of the product in one sachet?
Yeah, I have actually used pretty much all of that product in there. We are working with the brows. There's a larger area that we're working with, and we want to make sure we get good coverage. Otherwise, the results may be underwhelming because we haven't gotten that coverage on there. Maybe the lotions haven't coated all the way through those bottom layers of hairs. So you will find that you'll use pretty much the whole sachet for your brow laminations. If you are working with maybe sparser, thinner brows, you could potentially get 2 clients, or even a lash lamination and a brow lamination in the one treatment. They are designed for single use only, really, just so it keeps the service nice and hygienic, and you're always working with fresh product as well, which can be a benefit for your services and your clients.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's good, looking good. The wrap is looking good. I actually have one of the Elleebana brow wraps here. They are super handy when using these for your brow lamination, because you know, you can see that it is quite small, so it's perfect, you know, width-wise to cover the brows. It comes with this little handy cutter, so you're not struggling to cut all of your wrap. So it cuts off perfect size pieces every time. You saw Anika's setup earlier there. She's already prepped her brow wrap, which is a good little tip as well. You know, if you're finding, you know, maybe you want to cut down on your treatment times, prep everything and get everything organized. It'll start your day off really well, you know, and your treatment will run smoothly as well. So that's a good little tip.
So it's just 6 minutes now, and I've checked the hairs and they are looking really, really good. They're sitting really nicely. So I'm ready to remove, and I'm just removing with a dry cotton tip. If your client has old tint in their brows, you will notice that it will kind of come out. So you can see there is a bit of color there, and that is because our client did have some tint in her brows not too long ago, because it will strip that color out as we are having a chemical reaction with that cortex of the hair. So it's completely normal to see the brow lighten a couple of shades as well as that reaction with the cortex. So I'm just keeping an eye on that time now for our second brow, which I'm going to check in a moment. So you do need to be keeping an eye on that time because it will go super quick. We did actually get a few questions on why we use brow wrap for our brow laminations. And
Yeah.
that is because it does help to generate a little bit of heat. So the CHC molecule that's in the Elliplex does work really well with some heat. So it just helps to sort of break those bonds down really effectively so that we can reshape and restyle the hairs. And it also helps to hold the hairs into place. So there's no need for an adhesive. That way we're not using any extra product. We're not changing that pH level of the skin any more than we are. So it's great that we don't need to use that extra product in our service.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to check our other brow now. So I'm just peeling back, just going to give it one last little brush.
Mm-hmm.
And those hairs are looking so good. Nice and sleek. That's what we want.
I'm jealous. I need to have mine done now. They're looking beautiful. Stunning. Go, so removal method, taking that off. You know, it does make such a difference as well, doesn't it? So there was a question about brow hairs that are coming down towards the eye. You can still do that, you know, brow lamination on those types of brows. I've done lamination on men's brows. They could be quite unruly, quite coarse, so the profusion does work really well on coarse brows. You know, with those hairs that are going in a downward direction, you can redirect them up so they're not facing down. So you could do a more natural styling. It doesn't have to be those big wow insta brows. You know, there's so many different styles that you can create with brow lamination. So natural styling, corrective as well, so you can create symmetry within the brows. Again, as we mentioned, male brows, you can just tame those really curly brows. Another question, are you using a dry Q-tip? So you used a dry cotton bud to remove the lotions, Anika?
Yeah, that's right. So with the first lotion, I just used a dry cotton tip. We don't need a damp one just as yet. These lotions are really, really gentle. So unlike the one shot where you do usually remove the lotions from the lashes with a damp for every lotion, this one, we don't need it for that first one, just the second lotion. So I am ready to apply my second lotion to the brows now, and I'm going to be using our little Wonder Wands for this one. And just again, making sure that we're not over brushing or over stimulating the brow area. So I'm just going to dip that in our lotion here. I've got quite a generous amount on there so I can coat the hairs really well. So this is where I'm going to style those hairs into place.
Styling the Aftercare. Cool. So Nika's doing the second lotion. So there's a quick little question there about Aftercare. So as we know, Aftercare is really important with the health of the brow hairs. So much like the hair on your head, if you go and have a chemical treatment done on the hair on your head, your hairdresser will recommend products to use. So we do recommend using the Elliplex Advanced Aftercare. It's a serum. It is amazing, and I do notice a very you know, a quite significant difference in clients that implement really good strict aftercare compared to you know, to those who don't. You know, Elliplex Advance is amazing. It does have keratin biotin in there, and it smells pretty amazing as well. So it's going to help lock in the color with that sunflower oil extract. Yeah, so clients can use it daily as well. So it can be used on lashes, brows, and even beards. So, you know, if you want to condition your beard, just whack some Elliplex Advance on there. So, you know, it's all good. It's very, very important. So you can see Anika's using the Wonder Wand to apply the setting lotion. So you can see how she has beautifully styled the brow as well. It's looking good, Anika. I'm so jealous.
So I'm just cleaning up that excess lotion. Again, we want to minimize the amount we have on the skin. Just concentrate it purely on the hairs. So timer is on. I've cleaned up that lotion and I'm ready to put my cling film on. So again, stretching that nice and tight, bringing it in from that way to hold those hairs into place.
Beautiful. Brow goals already. Absolutely. Anika slays the brows. The little brow ninja. She does an amazing job.
So I'm just working on that opposite brow now, brushing that lotion through.
controlled. So you can see Nika's using the Wonder One. So if you've just joined us, she's applying her setting lotion here. We do get questions quite often as we've come out with the Elleebana tree tools as well. These are amazing for your lash lifting, your lash lamination, but you'll notice one end is really quite sharp. So we don't recommend using these for your brow lamination. So with the change of pH levels on the skin, you know, could be a little bit sensitive as well. So your client could experience a little bit of redness, which is normal with the lotions. We wouldn't suggest or recommend using these for your brows though. So it could cause micro tears within the skin. So they aren't, you know, recommended to come into contact with the skin. So just keep them for your lash lifting and just keep your Wonder Wands for your brows. Looking good.
We just did a really great post on our Elleebana Instagram page regarding skin redness with brow lamination, and it's such an important one to know. So the redness, it can be due to the pH change on the skin. So our first lotion, it does change that pH level. So you may notice it more with the first lotion than our second lotion. The second lotion does have a pH that is closer to the skin. So that is the benefit of using, you know, setting lotions with hydrogen peroxide, as it does help to normalize that pH level a little more for our client's skin. So I've just popped both lotions on now. Processing time is on, and we're just going to wait for that to process now. So first lotion was 6 minutes. I'm going to allow this to process for 6 minutes as well. We find that works really well on majority of clients that have, you know, that pretty medium density. The lotions are quite effective. So we'll have a look at that end result once we reach that processing time.
Lovely. There they go. So where is everybody watching from? You know, I'd love to see, you know, where you guys are from. As we mentioned earlier, we're from Australia, here at Elleebana HQ on the Gold Coast. Chrissy, you're so knowledgeable. Oh, we try our best. Try our best. Okay, if you've got any more questions, you know, we will try and answer them, you know, as quickly as we can. London, hi, London, you know, guys in London, love Big Ben, Belgium, Lebanon. Wow, so there's quite a few people around the globe. Anika tuning in Texas.
That's amazing. Thanks so much, guys, for jumping in. It's so exciting to be here and share all this knowledge with you all. So hopefully you can learn some great little tips and tricks, and we'd love to see all your brow laminations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Israel's, Portugal, Bomdia, New Jersey. Wow, the Elleebana family just reaches out so far, doesn't it? It's amazing. It's Amanda Hanika. I know it's you. I know it's you, Amanda. I recognize you everywhere. We love you too. We love Elleebana. Oh, that's amazing. We love Elleebana too. We just love, you know, the brand. We love the big support system that we have globally. You know, Otto and Zoe are incredible. You know, the trainers with the company, the product. There's so many things about the brand that's just, it's just amazing. I'm making Amanda laugh this morning. Go.
I'm just reading some of the questions on our posts recently, and I can see someone's asked, why is it recommended to tint or henna the brows after the lamination and not before? So as I mentioned before, the lotions will strip the color out of the brows. So there's no point in really tinting the brows beforehand, because that color is basically going to completely disappear. So we always want to do it afterwards. And you'll find that because we have actually opened up the cuticle of the hair, and that cortex is kind of like primed and ready to go, so it will actually absorb the tint color a lot quicker. So you may find that you'll need to reduce your processing times, maybe even by half what you usually do when you are tinting brows.
Yeah. That was a really good question as well. The same as, you know, if clients don't want to tint after a brow lamination, Anika, usually the lotions can slightly strip the color of the hair as well, or lighten the hair.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
That's another thing to consider with the brow lamination also. I know another question that we do get asked quite regularly is henna and brow lamination together. We don't recommend incorporating both of the treatments together at the same time. So we would recommend waiting 2 weeks between the treatments. So as you know, henna is quite naturally granular. It is a little bit dehydrating to the skin. And then you would have to consider the processing time for your lamination and then your henna treatment. So it could be a little bit too stressful for the skin. So tinting is absolutely fine. The Elliplex Profusion tints, so I've got some of them here. They're beautiful colors. The 2% oxidant has been designed to produce, a beautiful, gentle tinting application. So it just goes hand in hand with the Elliplex Profusion system. So they're perfect to incorporate. So henna, just leave 2 weeks between a brow lamination and the henna treatment.
So I've just removed our second lotion now, and I did use a damp cotton tip for that one, and I just pat dry afterwards. So that is the result after the brow lamination. We can style them a little bit more. The water has kind of slicked some of those hairs together, so I can separate them really nicely with a dry Wonder Wand. But I'm going to wait until this one is ready to come off, and then we're going to proceed with our tinting procedure.
Beautiful. They're looking lovely and sleek. Amazing brow lamination masses. Thank you, Zoe. Good morning. Oh, they're looking beautiful and sleek. There was a question just before. I'm just trying to excuse me. This is our first live, so the tint skin. You can achieve some skin stain with the tints, but tint is more designed to cover and color the hair. With your brow lamination as well, it's important to remember that the tint can be easily deposited into the cortex of the hair. So you may want to reduce the processing time or the application time for your tint. Because of the chemical treatment, the cuticle's been allowed to swell open, again, making the tint more easily deposited into that cortex there. What profusion tint color are you going to go with here? That's a good question.
So our model today loves to have more of a bolder brow. She can definitely pull off a bolder brow. So I'm going to go with our deep brown Elliplex Profusion tint. I do find this color is quite universal. It does suit a lot of clients, and it's just a nice kind of neutral in the middle brown color. You can change the depth by the processing time. So if you're wanting a darker result, leave it on longer. If you want more of a lighter result, just leave it on for less time. Or alternatively, mixing in, a darker color. I like to add in a little bit of graphite sometimes if I'm wanting more of that ashier hue, or if I'm wanting more of like a goldeny, dark brown sort of color, I like to add in a bit of the honey, which is really, really nice to add in there. So that is our brows fully laminated. So I'm going to give them a little brush just to style them into the direction that I'm wanting them before I apply my tint. So I've just got a clean little Wonder Wand here.
Ooh, beautiful. So are you using water to remove, and was there regen mixed in the step too? So the first lotion Anika did remove with a dry cotton tip, and then she did go in with a damp cotton tip at the end after step 2. So regen, Anika, did you incorporate regen into your setting lotion, or are you going to incorporate?
I did not know. I'm actually going to mix that one into my tint. I just like to have it in the end just to finish off the surface. But if I wasn't performing a tint, absolutely, I would mix it into my setting lotion. And I always mix in the regen, and it just helps with hydrating, putting more nutrients back into the hair, because we have essentially just performed a chemical service. We need to make sure that we're also adding moisture and hydration back into that hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so I'm just brushing those hairs. Looking good.
Good. Great tip here. Lovely. Go.
All right, so I'm going to dispense my tint, get that one ready to go.
Lovely. Can you just show us as well how much regen you're incorporating into your tint?
Yeah, absolutely.
That gets asked quite a lot, how much regen can I add in? So Anika will show you how much, is effective enough to incorporate into your tint. The
So I'm
regen
just
is
dispensing the deep brown, and I'm always going to squeeze from the end of the tube and just cut off what I need. That way we're not damaging these tubes. If we're squeezing in the middle, sometimes you can get little slits on the outer part of that tube there. So we want to make sure we're also looking after our products.
This is it. Mix between the lamination and henna. Yeah, so we did cover henna and brow lamination. So this live, it will be saved, so you can go back to it at a later date. But we do recommend leaving 2 weeks between lamination and henna. You know, if you want to reach out to us via Instagram or Facebook to ask any troubleshooting questions, any tips or tricks, advice, you know, send us photos, tag us in your work, please do. You know, we're always really active on socials. There's forums as well on Facebook that we're a part of. You know, our trainers here in Australia, we're on there. You know, and then our global trainers as well. So you know, the US trainers. We've got a beautiful US family that do jump in on a lot of forums. Otto, Zoe. So very big support system that you can reach out to anytime you need.
So that is the amount of regen and tint to oxidant ratio. So 4 parts tint, 4 parts oxidant, and 1 part regen. So you can see the tiny, tiny little dot there. That's all you really need. As the brows are porous, as we mentioned before, they will just kind of soak up all of those nutrients really well. So I'm just going to blend that tint together now, and we can start applying to the brows. And I'm going to leave it to process for around 6 to 7 minutes. I find that achieves a really nice depth of color for our client here.
So color tinting, yeah, you can use tint in the same treatment as lamination. You know, the Elliplex Profusion is a gentle tinting system, so we do utilize a 2% oxidant. So it has been designed to keep sensitivities in mind and provide a gentle tinting application. Hello from Nottingham. What if we get asymmetrical eyebrows? You know, as we know, the face is not symmetrical, so we can, you know, you can customize the brows, so you can tailor the brows as far as tweezing. I do tweeze certain areas of the brows to make them look a bit more symmetrical. Styling as well is really important. So we do want to achieve a 45-degree angle when we style the brows, just to make them nice and complementary. But yeah, so they're little tips that I like to use. So certain areas of the brow, so the arch, underneath the arch, I can tweeze a few more hairs than the other brow to make them look more symmetrical, appear more symmetrical. So they're really good tips. Beautiful model has lovely eyebrows. So you're going in with a tinting stick, Anika.
Yeah, I'm going to demonstrate both a tinting stick and an angle brush, just so you can see. I do prefer a tint stick, but for some brows, I like to use an angle brush. Some days it's just whatever I feel like using, but I find this does the job really well. So I'm just applying, the way I like to apply tint, I like to apply a nice thick layer, a nice straight line along the bottom part of the brow, so we can get that nice crisp look just beneath the brow. That's usually where the definition is, just underneath. And then we kind of feather it up because we're fluffing out that brow. So I'm just going to kind of sweep the tint upward so that we can sort of feather it all the way up through the top part of the brow here. And I can come in and clean up that tint once I've applied.
Beautiful. So there was a question just there. Let me just scroll. Would you recommend doing a wax before or after brow lamination? So we would recommend waxing with caution. So as we know, the pH levels on the skin will be changing due to the first lotion. It needs to be considerably higher than the skin to have an effect on the brow hairs. So if you were going to incorporate hair removal, tweezing is really good. Threading, if you do threading, that's a really good method as well for hair removal. Waxing, we wouldn't recommend before applying your lotions, just because of sensitivities with the skin. You can see there with the model, you can wax in between the brows and then underneath, but again, wax with caution. If your clients have quite a lot of redness present, we would recommend not waxing in the same surface. If you were waxing, avoid the top of the brow, because that's more of an area that you're quite likely to come into contact with brushing upwards with the lotion. So always with caution. If there's redness present, sensitivities, just rebook your client back in. If not, you can go through and tweeze. Threading, again, is a really good method of hair removal.
If you would like to wax beforehand, it will need to be around 24 to 48 hours before. So if they do want to come in the day before, that's okay. Just so that the skin can kind of normalize and you're not applying, you know, chemicals or products directly on skin that's sort of just been opened by the wax, as it can remove, you know, some layers of that top part of the skin. So it can kind of make any sensitivities that can occur, it can kind of make it worse sometimes.
Lovely. That's good. I love how you're showing using both the tint stick and the angle brush, so it really gives people options as well to be able to.
Well, everyone's got different preferences. A lot of my students love the angle brushes, and then I'll have a couple that just love a tint stick. So it's great to have options. Some brows may suit, you know, an angle brush, some can suit the tint stick. So yeah, it can come down to preference and your model.
Yeah. So another question, would you recommend lamination for persons which are missing hairs like at the middle or the bottom of the brow due to wrong tweezing? I'm assuming that's tweezing or tweezing, and style them downwards rather than upwards, as we see most of the time. That's a good question. Some clients may not be suitable candidates for a brow lamination if they're quite sparse. You know, may not achieve the look that they're wanting or hoping for. So really giving good advice, you know, managing client expectations as well. But you can, I mean, missing a middle line horizontally of hairs, I could send a picture private. Yeah, you can send us pictures private and we can, you know, through DM, and we can give you, that's okay, sorry, it's not clear, that's okay. You know, yeah, you can send us pictures and we can give you extra tips and tricks. But yes, sometimes if there's hair missing throughout the brow, you can sometimes disguise little gaps. I've had clients that have had scars in their brow area, maybe have had piercings before, and you can sweep the hair over. If it's quite a considerable amount, then it may be a little bit tricky to style. But yeah, send us pictures if you need any tips. You know, we're more than happy to help. That's absolutely fine. So there's another question, Anika. What to do if there's curls after a week of the treatment in the brow area?
So that can come down to the processing times. Perhaps you didn't leave it on long enough, or it could also come down to the client's aftercare. So aftercare is a really important one with brow lamination, because obviously we've just performed a chemical treatment. We need to be caring for the brows. We need to be looking after the skin as well, making sure that that's getting hydration. But sometimes if the hair is a little bit more drier, it can actually have a mind of its own, go a little bit haywire. So the Elliplex Advanced Aftercare Serum does help to style the hairs. It'll hydrate, nourish them, and just keep them into place throughout the duration of their brow lamination. But we also need to consider that the hair will start growing back in that original direction. So it can also be regrowth as well, especially if it's looking, you know, down the 3 to 4 week mark. You will definitely start to see some regrowth in the hairs, which is completely normal. So again, managing your clients' expectations. What can they expect with the regrowth? How is it going to look? How is it going to feel? Just so that they are aware of what is going to happen to their brows leading up to that regrowth phase.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this live. We're so happy to do lives. This is actually, you know, mine and Anika's first live together. So, you know, we hope we're doing a really good job. It's so exciting to do, you know, different things like this, you know, getting out of your comfort zone as well. It was really fun. What should we be charging for the treatment? So that's a good question as well. That could come down to where you're based. You know, we're on the Gold Coast, so we're located on the Gold Coast in Australia. It can come down to yourself as a stylist. You know, what are you wanting to charge? You know, countries as well, they, you know, vary price to price as well. So it will just come down to yourselves, I suppose, really. There is, you know, in our courses, we do a breakdown of, you know, costing and things like that, which is really important to, you know, to understand when you're starting a business. So that's all included in there. What is Sorry, I'm going to try and get back on some questions. There's a lot of you beautiful people joining, so which is really exciting. So when do you suggest the client start using an aftercare serum? So they can use that straight away. We do finish the brows with the Elliplex Advanced Aftercare serum. So we do apply a nice little coat so they can use that daily. As I mentioned earlier before, the Elliplex Advanced is amazing. You can use it daily on lashes, brows, and beards as well. So yeah, daily you can apply straight away. Oh, that tint is looking good, Anika. Nice and crisp.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
I love this part. It's so satisfying, making sure that they're all nice and styled.
It is super, super satisfying. I'd love to know what your favorite, you know, those who are watching, your favorite part of your brow lamination. What is your most favorite part, or is it the whole thing? Should we be storing the products in the fridge? So that's a good question, Anika. You know, Profusion, are people okay to store that in the fridge?
Yeah, so here at Elleebana, we do recommend storing them in the fridge. That way you've got that peace of mind. It's been kept in that nice, stable, cool environment, because sometimes overexposure to heat can start to activate the ingredients inside of the sachets. So if you notice the sachets have become puffy or they've expanded, that might be due to overexposure to heat. Just do keep in mind though, with the Elliplex Profusion, when you do store it in the fridge, you will need to return it to room temperature. As I mentioned earlier, this system works really well with heat, which is why we use the brow wrap. Okay, so what I usually do if I've got clients for the day is I'll just bring my lotions out of the fridge and just pop it on, you know, the bench and leave that there for a couple of hours. Or if I pick up the sachets and they still feel cold, just kind of warm your hands together and hold them inside, you know, both your palms, and that should warm up the product a little bit more for you so you're ready to apply it to the client's brows or lashes.
Yeah, perfect. That's a really good tip. How long do you keep the tint on for? So Billy, was it 6 and 7 minutes you're keeping this tint on for this particular client, Anika?
Yeah, she does like
Yeah.
more of a, you know, a darker, more bolder brow. She can definitely pull off that type of look as well. So I have left it on for, it's been 6 minutes now, and I'm just removing the front part just so I can check the color and also just kind of create more of that ombre look just through here. So we can see that's a really beautiful color for our client. It has grabbed the skin a little bit, which is good, but remembering tint is really only designed for coloring hair. Sometimes you do get the benefit of a skin stain, but it is only subtle. Okay, so, and again, brow laminations, they're like a nice fluffy look for our client. So it just kind of emphasizes the amount of hair that they have, because it's more of like a shadowing effect behind their hair. So it just kind of emphasizes their natural beauty. I think it looks really lovely.
Yeah, beautiful. Another question, how long can we keep open sachets in the fridge? Yeah, so that's a good question. You can actually keep lotions in the fridge for 2 to 3 weeks for patch testing purposes. So don't open new sachets every time for your clients for patch testing. So you can open one of the sachets. I'll grab one here. So you've got your little Elliplex Profusion sachets here. You only need a very small amount for patch testing. So do keep it airtight as well. But for use with a client, we do recommend aiming to use that within 24 hours for most optimum results. Okay. Again, keeping it airtight. You can pop it in little Ziploc bag as well. You could pop a little bit of tape on the end just to make sure that there's no air getting in there, and keeping it as fresh as possible. Oh,
yeah, I do see some people, you know, poking little holes in there so they can kind of dispense out a little amount and then pop tape over the top, or just cut off the corner and then tape that back up. So it is kind of sort of air. There's no air going to get in there, and keep it in your Ziploc bag and in the fridge.
Yeah. There you go. You can also pop a date on there as well, which is really helpful. So that will help you keep track of when exactly you opened it. So it'll take away all that guesswork for you. I like to pop dates on things just so I know. I like to keep things really quite accurate. So I've always done it. Oh, it's looking so good. Yeah.
So I'm just removing with a damp cotton tip. Beautiful. That color looks so beautiful.
It does. It really complements her so well. What's on the Q-tip you're using to remove the tint? So Anika has slightly dampened that Q-tip, so it's just water, just plain water. Oh, look at them. They're so beautiful. Do patch testing sachets apply to the lash lift? Yes. So if you are patch testing, use any product that you intend to use in your treatment. So patch testing will go, apply the same for your one-shot system. So you can use that for patch testing. Again, don't open your sachets. Save your sachets for creating your beautiful lashes and your beautiful brows. Again, you only need a very small amount for patch testing. But yes, you can do the same patch testing, recommendations for your one-shot and keep those in the fridge. Okay. There you go. Hi to everybody that's just done it. Lash lifting solutions for one-shot. For your patch testing, Nemaya. I don't know if I've said your name properly. I do apologize. Yeah, so patch testing, we do recommend using a very small amount in a sachet, keeping it airtight and storing it in the fridge for 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. What tint is she using? So Nika has used the Elliplex Profusion Deep Brown tint on this client. So it's a beautiful universal shade. It's very complementary as well. As you can see, it's, such a stunning color. Such a stunning, stunning color. So where would you recommend patch testing? That's a good question. You can apply lotion behind the ear. So behind the ear or the crook of the arm. It's a good idea to do tints on one side and lotions on the other. So if your client was maybe to have a sensitivity develop from your lotions, you could still implement a tint, or vice versa. So if your client had a sensitivity develop from your tint, you could still apply your lash lifting or brow lamination lotions and create a lift or lamination, but not implement the tint. So that's a good little tip for you, just so you can keep track of that.
So I have just tweezed some out of place hairs, and I'm just going to pop some aftercare on this brow. I'm just waiting for that other brow to process. We are about to finish our live soon, so we're just going to finish off this service, show you that end result, but send in any questions that you have so we can get to them before we finish our live today. Beautiful. So I'm just brushing those hairs now into shape with my Elliplex aftercare. It gives a really nice glossy sheen finish to the end. Smells amazing. Clients usually sold just on the smell.
It's so beautiful. 24-hour test. So we do recommend patch testing 48 hours, minimum 48 hours before a treatment. So there was questions previously. So we are saving this live, so don't worry, everything that's covered in this live, it will be safe for you to refer back to. So we have covered waxing, tinting as well. So do you wax before or after lamination? So we've covered that one. So you can wax with caution. Again, we have covered that one. You can implement tweezing, threading, but we wouldn't recommend waxing before a lamination. Oh, look at those brows. They're so good. Go. Wonder Wands are so handy for many, many things. Look how fluffy those brows.
Love these little tools. They just brush the hairs and separate them really nicely. I'll just tweeze a couple of hairs.
They can be
just
really
to
nice.
Finish that shape off.
Lovely. Mandy Brows and Beauty, thank you for joining us. We've really enjoyed doing this. It was so much fun. So good. It's so good to share the profusion love with everybody, brows and You know, I hope you're as obsessed with it as much as we are. We love it. We love Profusion. Brilliant. Live team. Yay, we did it. Go. Oh, look at them. Thank you both. Thank you for joining us, Baby G. We loved having you. Yeah, absolutely. Going to save it so you can refer back to, you know, there's so many different tips and tricks, guides as well. If you haven't checked out our guides on Instagram, you can check that out there. So there's so much information, you know, one shot versus Profusion, you know, the differences between the both, you know, rods and shields, henna. There's so many things that you can check out. So where can everyone find info about our training? So you can go to our website. We've got a training calendar there. So Elleebana.com or Elleebana USA. There's courses there. So we do both hands-on courses and we do online as well, which is really quite popular. So you can book into a Zoom session with one of the trainers, so one of your Elleebana master trainers. We love doing online training. We have lash lifting, so using one shot, Profusion courses, henna, lash extensions. So, you know, there's so many things that you can jump in on, upskill. You know, you can never stop learning, so there's so many things. But yeah, check out Elleebana.com. There's a link there that you can click on for Australian and international students. So there's something there for everybody. So we really hope that we can get you in on some training and learn further tips and tricks. Oh, Anika, those brows look so beautiful.
So this is the final result. So happy with how they've turned out. You can see that color is really nice. It creates a really nice shadow behind the hairs, but they're still looking nice and fluffy and feathered, nice and full, which is the main goal of this service for our client today. So let me just get the camera off the Glencore and give you a closer look at these brows.
Oh, so exciting. Oh,
so nice and sleek.
Beautiful. They are beautiful indeed. They're nice and fluffy. Stunning. They look super healthy as well, super nourished.
Yes, so beautiful. So the aftercare for our client, she just wants to avoid any hot, steamy environments. Try not to get the brows wet. Avoid any serums, oils, moisturizers on their brows for the next 24 to 48 hours. Also trying not to sleep on her face or her sides where it may encourage the brows into a different direction. And then just making sure that she's using her aftercare serum every day. I like to do it in the morning and at night, incorporate into my morning and night routines. So that is the final result. Thanks everyone for jumping in and watching our little demo. And it was so much fun answering all of your questions. We'll definitely be doing this again soon for you all. So stay tuned. We'll have some more trainers jump on and do this with you guys.
Yeah, so good. Oh, look at them. Yay. Wonderful. You did amazing, Anika. You slayed those brows. They look absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it was
good
so
brows to start off your day or finish your night wherever you are tuning in.
Well, yeah, this is it. No matter what part in the world you're from, brows will always be our, you know, coming together and something that we're all obsessed with and having common and love. Yeah, well, I had fun with doing this live. It was so good. Thank you all so much for joining us again. If you have any questions that you need answered, you know, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook. You know, myself and Anika, we're based here at HQ on the Gold Coast. We do have some amazing, beautiful trainers in Australia as well. So we've got two Amy's and Sammy. You may have had, you know, correspondence with them and troubleshooting and support with them. They're absolutely incredible. You know, our USA team, there's so many people that you can reach out to. So I love that. Thank you. Enjoyed the live. Thank you. We loved having you as part of the live.
Yeah, it was awesome answering all your questions. Hopefully you've all learned something today. If we haven't gotten to your question, please just send us a message and we can help you out. But we will finish off this live now because we only have an hour, but hopefully you've learned something. And we will see you all very soon on our next Instagram live.
Yay. Cool.
All right. Bye everyone.
Bye.